Hey there, Carly Myers here, and welcome back to the Stress Less Show, an educational art show that helps you address stress. This week we have a special guest on the show, Kristy Runzer. She's a money expert, specifically money mindset. So I hope you enjoy the show.
Awesome. Thanks, Carly, and thanks for having me. I'm Kristy Runzer. I'm a financial planner, founder of En Route Financial, and we help women who are feeling stuck or avoiding their money, but working on some pretty big and serious goals, get out of that avoidance and get into a place of action and ultimately serve as that girlfriend that you can talk to about money without feeling judged.
Yeah, I was going to say that without feeling judged piece is so key. It's like the biggest scandal, everyone's like, don't talk about money.
Yeah, like, shh.
Yeah, exactly. So today we're talking, this month we've been talking about money, but today we're really going to talk about the steps to financial freedom and how you get there. So Kristy, I knew that you knew the path and how to get there, and you're guiding your clients all the time on what that looks like. So do you have any tips or recommendations for us for those of us who are looking for financial freedom?
Yeah, so I have three tips for you. My first one is to actually define what financial freedom means to you.
Mm.
So financial freedom might feel like this big, kind of elusive, off in the distance. What is this thing? It feels so big and unattainable anyway, right? So I would start by defining what that actually looks like for you, right? Is it having the ability to get a massage every week, or take your family on vacation a couple times a year, once a year, or do work that you love, get out of the corporate job, retire early? So really defining what is important to you, what you value, what your goals are. That would be
Yeah,
step one.
I think that reminds me of an exercise in the 4 Hour Work Week by Timothy Ferriss, and he doesn't say he's I don't think he says that like it's the goal is never to make millions. That's kind of what his approach is it's that figure out exactly what you think a millionaire has and what that millionaire experiences, and then figure out how much it actually costs to live that life. Like a lot of us think you have to have $1 million to travel the world. Not true. We need a lot of money to do X, Y, have X, Y, be X, Y, Z, and it's it's actually financial freedom can just look like defining. Yeah, I love that, defining what that is for you. Having the work, being able to do the work you love, um, or all sorts of other things.
Yeah, and when you were just speaking there, what came up for me was that you can kind of have and find that freedom in the moment, today, right? You don't have to wait until this day in the future when you have more money to be able to do something that brings you joy and that you love. Start to find that freedom and that joy today, and that can be financial freedom for you.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I had a colleague who recommended that if you wanted to buy what was her example? There was one of her clients wanted to buy like let's say a Corvette. Like that's like the fanciest car I can think of right now. Buy a Corvette. Well, for her client, like why don't you why don't you go do a test drive? Why don't you go like rent it for a day? Because that was in her current, like that was, and the client ended up doing that, and it was like this like huge thing. Like she only had to spend like $40, and she got this like luxurious day, and it had never even occurred to her that that could be like a now thing.
Yes, I love that. And another thing just to be careful of too is when you're making your definition, try not to let those shoulds creep in, or I feel like I need to fit in this particular box. This is what I'm supposed to want. Really go with what you want and what
Yeah.
excites you and what's valuable to you. It's easy to get in that trap of the shoulds.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I think should is one of those words I'm constantly telling people, like, oh, should, let's change to I would like to, or, and if you change your sentence from I should do blank to I would like to do blank, and then it feels wrong, you're like, oh, yeah, I would not
Yeah.
like to do that. Yeah. So I think that defining that kind of financial freedom, what it is to you, is a great tip.
Yes. So tip number 2 would be, since that tip's all about envisioning where you want to go, it's really getting clear on where you are today and facing the numbers, right? Looking at how much you're making, spending, saving, investing, have in the bank, have in debt, and having that clear picture of all those different moving pieces. And this can be really scary, right? I feel like this is where a lot of the avoidance comes in for many of my clients and people
Yeah.
that I'm chatting with is, I don't want to look at it.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't want to know. I don't want to know how bad it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So just knowing, I think knowing your numbers is I think one of the most common fears is the fear of the unknown or the uncertain. And when we get to know our numbers, I think that's a great tip, because when we get to know our numbers, now we know. It's not this like, oh, it could be so much worse, right? It's, we know. And now now we can create a plan to step out of it.
It's so interesting when I'm working with clients who are in that fear mode and they're avoiding. They finally agree to sit down. We're going to look at everything. End of the meeting comes around. They're like, oh, that wasn't too bad. And actually, that was kind of fun. And I feel really empowered now because I know. And it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. It's so funny. That's almost any like money anytime I've ever avoided my numbers and I remember when I first started my business, I was avoiding my numbers, and I went, and my business coach was like, no, look at you know, she's about to curse me out, like, look at your numbers. And finally I go and look at my numbers and I do them, and it turned out that that month was my best month. And I
Yes.
had been spending that whole month freaking out about money, thinking I didn't have enough and blah blah blah, but it was all in my head. I literally had made my best month to date in my entire business that month.
Oh,
So
I love that. That's amazing. And this doesn't have to be so quick and so big and scary. You can start really simple and small by maybe getting a budgeting app that's tracking your income and your expenses. That's a great place to start.
yeah. So what is tip number 3?
So tip number 3 is to take small, easy, and fun action. So
Mm,
this is the journey, right? This is continuing to show up and continuing to do the work and to grow and to evolve. And so my philosophy is around keeping it simple, easy, fun, and just doing a little bit over time, right? Maybe one thing a month, one thing a quarter, whatever your pace is, but just being consistent. And when you are taking action, it doesn't feel like this big, heavy, scary thing.
yeah, it's this like micro bravery concept where it's like you're taking those small steps, but it's you're being brave. It's courageous, and I think I love that. So I know we talked before about like how money is a huge worry for, I think it's like 73 or 79. I always butcher that stat, percent of women,
Yes.
and so we talked about what you can offer to help make money less of a worry for those of us who are listening. So what is that offer?
I have a free 6-day money goal course that can help you to start to define what financial freedom looks like to you, and then also put a number to it. See how much money you would have to save towards your different goals. So you can grab that at onroutefinancial.com/free course.
Wonderful, wonderful. And with that, thank you, Kristy, so much for coming on the show. This was so great.
Thank you so much for having me, Carly.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Hey there, Carly Myers here again, and thank you so much for tuning in to this episode on the steps to financial freedom with Kristy Runzer, our special guest on the Stress Less Show. We really appreciate you tuning in. We wouldn't be able to do it without you. And with that being said, we really couldn't do it without our Patreon members. If it weren't for you, we wouldn't be able to create this content. For those of you who are like, what is Patreon? What is this? Patreon is a membership platform where you can support creators like me to bring you content that you love. So if you're interested, I would love it if you considered supporting us at patreon.com/stresslessco. You can find there all of our exclusive perks, such as access to the digital print of the drawing you see me drawing right now. We would love it if you check that out. There are lots of different perks there. And until next week, take care.